Star Wars is a lot of things. It's an amalgamation of history, religion, politics, and ancient stories repackaged. It's also a huge multimedia franchise with movies, TV shows, books, video games, and much, much more. For us to cover all of it would take forever, so today we're just going to cover the first movie from a Christian perspective. I'd be letting you guys down if I didn't talk about the Buddhist influence in Star Wars. For those who are even remotely familiar with Buddhism, the influence is pretty obvious, particularly in the prequels. George Lucas was raised in a Methodist family, but was heavily inspired by Eastern philosophies from Buddhism and Taoism. He has even called himself a Methodist Buddhist. Irvin Kershner, who directed The Empire Strikes Back, once said that Yoda was created to evangelize Buddhism. For more information on Star Wars' Buddhist influence, I recommend checking out Redeemed Zoomer's video titled Why Star Wars is Buddhist and Jesus is Like a Sith. He does a better job at distinguishing between Buddhist and Christian philosophy better than I ever could. But remember that I said this video is specifically about the first movie. I just feel like it would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the clear Eastern influences. Even in the first movie, where we are introduced to the concept of the Force, it sounds a lot like the Taoist concept of Qi, an energy force that animates the whole universe and flows in everything.
The Force?
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Even the concept of bringing balance to the dark and light sides of the Force sound like the Taoist concept of yin and yang. All of this said, I think the first Star Wars movie actually models the Christian story of St. George and the Dragon. For those of you who watched our How to Train Your Dragon video, I already told this story, and so you can skip to this time code. But for those who haven't heard it yet, allow me to recap the story. There once was a village that began to be extorted by a dragon. The villagers offered their tributes to appease the beast. At first, it was their trinkets and gold, but this turned into livestock, and eventually the dragon required human sacrifice. Sadly, the people of the village began offering up human tribute to the dragon, until one day when the princess was offered. As she was making her way to the dragon's cave, St. George stopped her and asked why she was crying. When the situation was explained to him, he resolved to slay the dragon himself. That day, St. George saved the princess, the whole village, and returned their stolen wealth. To this day, St. George is recognized and venerated by many Christians across the globe. Hopefully you can already see the similarities here without me detailing them. Luke is very much like St. George, a hero tasked with rescuing the princess. Beyond that, he's like the many biblical heroes who were reluctant or unprepared for the quest God had in store for them. R2-D2 and C-3PO come to him like angelic messengers to deliver the call of adventure.
You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Luke is a simple farm boy like David or Moses, and he resists his calling at first.
Alderaan? I'm not going to Alderaan. I've got to get home. It's late. I'm in for it as it is.
I need your help, Luke.
I can't get involved. I've got work to do. It's not that I like the Empire. I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it right now.
But circumstances thrust him into the adventure regardless. In this story, Princess Leia is a literal princess, and her capture is emblematic of just how much the Empire has gone too far. So who is the dragon? The Empire? Darth Vader? The Emperor? I think the dragon in this story is the Empire. While I promise to analyze this movie from a purely Christian perspective, I don't think it can be done without some politics. After all, politics are crucial to not only the Star Wars story, but also to the context of Jesus' story. Jesus was born and raised under Roman occupation. Rome was known for being a remarkably cruel pagan empire that conquered surrounding territories. Jesus' whole family became political refugees when they escaped to Egypt to avoid persecution from King Herod. Remember that in the story of St. George, the dragon extorted a village of people for their material possessions, but this eventually led to human sacrifice. Authoritarian and fascist governments do the exact same thing. They start as small baby dragons that increasingly demand more and more from their people until they begin conquering and killing innocent people.
The rebellion will continue to gain us support in the Imperial Senate.
The Imperial Senate will no longer be of any concern to us. I have just received word that the Emperor has dissolved the Council permanently. The last remnants of the old Republic have been swept away.
When Star Wars begins, the Empire is already huge. They commit major crimes against people and even destroy an entire planet with the Death Star. If that isn't genocide, then I don't know what is. It's estimated that the Empire killed trillions of people. That's why I think the Empire is the real dragon in the story. It's the Empire that captures Princess Leia, and it's the Empire that Luke has to rescue her from. But if you watch my How to Train Your Dragon video, then you already know that the dragon is actually symbolic. Dragons are demonic figures who do the bidding of their master, Satan. Satan is always the ultimate dragon. Similarly, in Star Wars, the whole Empire is guided by and influenced by a greater satanic force, the Emperor Palpatine. To me, the Emperor is less of a person or supervillain and more of just an embodiment of pure evil. Unlike other bad guys who have their motivations for being evil or who have slid down a slippery slope of sin, the Emperor is just satanic, full stop. I think this is part of what makes Star Wars symbolic of the war we fight every day. The whole premise is a battle between the dark, oppressive forces of the Empire and the hopeful freedom of the rebellion. From a Christian perspective, it mirrors the cosmic struggle between God's kingdom of heaven and the powers of darkness. Ephesians 6:12. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. The Empire is symbolic of the mighty powers in this dark world and the evil spirits. It's a worldly empire that exalts power, control, and fear, much like Babylon or Rome. The rebellion is fueled by hope, faith, and sacrifice.
You don't believe in the Force, do you?
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff, but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's one all-powerful force controlling everything. There's no mystical energy field controls my destiny.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Earlier, I mentioned how the Force seems to resemble the Taoist concept of Qi. It's impersonal, unlike the personal, loving God that's revealed in the Bible. But on the other hand, it still reflects the truth that there is a spiritual reality beyond the material world, one that we can't see. And, like the Holy Spirit of this world, our heroes in Star Wars can access the Force through faith. 2 Corinthians 4:18. So we don't look at the troubles we can see now, rather, we fix our gaze on things that cannot be seen. Obi-Wan's guidance to trust the Force mirrors the biblical call to live by faith, even though Christianity's faith is rooted in God's character, not in impersonal energy.
With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
In this way, Obi-Wan functions kind of like a prophet or mentor figure. He doesn't give Luke all of the answers, but he prepares the way for him, and he guides him to learn how to trust and sacrifice. The climactic moment of Luke turning off his targeting computer to trust the Force mirrors the call to walk by faith and not by sight.
Luke, you switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm all right.
Obi-Wan sacrifices himself during the duel with Darth Vader, choosing death so that Luke and the rebellion might live. And this directly parallels Christ laying down his life. John 15:13. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. In this scene, Obi-Wan even promises,
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
This promise reflects resurrection victory. Death doesn't end his influence, it expands it. The whole movie is about hope shining in the midst of overwhelming darkness. The rebellion, just like the church, represents the small faithful remnant who thrive on hope.
The approach will not be easy. You're required to maneuver straight down this trench and skim the surface to this point. The target area is only 2 meters wide.
In the Bible, God often works through the few and the weak. The rebellion mimics the early church, persevering under Rome and winning despite overwhelming odds. If you like this video, please hit that like button and leave a comment letting me know what you think. Did I nail this one or did I miss something? If you'd like to help us keep making content like this, exploring the deep, often overlooked Christian truth and popular entertainment, consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. Thanks for watching.